Atonement, Non-Citizenship, Territory and State-Making in Post-Colonial South Asia, an Antipode video abstract by Ajmer Firdaus at the University of Oulu in Finland. How does the sovereign incorporate the same group of population within its protection which it once excluded and made subject to occasional violence? This is what my paper in broad stroke aims to answer. In so doing, I draw on 14 months of ethnographic research in the former enclaves of Bangladesh and India and reflect on the experience of enclave residents' exclusion and inclusion before and after the exchange. Enclaves were literally pieces of India inside Bangladesh and vice versa. As you can see here on this map, these were Bangladeshi enclaves inside India and these were Indian enclaves inside Bangladesh. The enclaves existed as extraterritorial spaces since the creation of post-colonial India in 1947 until 2015 when they were finally exchanged and merged with their respective host states. Those who lived in these enclaves for the last 7 decades were de facto stateless people since they were cut off from their home state and on top of that were not recognized as right-bearing citizens in their host states. Therefore, scholars understood these spaces as spaces of exception which contained bare lives. Drawing from Agamben's influential work on space of exception and sovereign violence, these people were understood being victims of sovereign violence stuck in a permanent space of exception. However, situations dramatically changed after their exchange as the enclaves became regular state territories and the enclave people were recognized as right-bearing citizens for the first time. The paper specifically focuses on the experience of these people after they became right-bearing citizens from decades of stateless existence. Drawing on the role of Bangladesh state and analyzing state-making processes in these enclaves, I contend that the state took extraordinary measures to incorporate the people and the territories within its legible rule. For instance, government officials on the ground were instructed from up to actively help those people with their daily needs. Special aids and packages were allocated just for the former enclave residents. Services like electricity was supplied to each house with unprecedented speed. They were given direct and easy access to local officials and so on. The most significant exceptional step taken by the state of Bangladesh was to put together a special task force and simplified measures for land registration. Since enclave lands were not registered within the state records as they were not state territories, the Bangladesh state took quick measures to bring them under legible control by setting up exceptional arrangements to register enclave land. Such measures, however, were exclusively directed toward the newly incorporated citizens, not to the regular Bangladeshi citizens neighboring these spaces. The paper captures such extraordinary measures taken by the state as sovereign atonement. The crucial point is not to take sovereign atonement for its face value, as I argue that such measures were not stemmed from a sorry or sad sovereign to make up for its violence. Instead, the key to understanding such measures, I contend, lies in a careful reading of the primacy of territory in the imagination of state and nation-making in post-colonial South Asia. Two territorial factors underpinning such sovereign atonement: the amplified territorial history of these enclaves and use of citizenship as technology of controlling land. Since their creation, enclaves gained oversized significance in nation-making discourses of India and Bangladesh. Although they were insignificant in terms of size, population, and economic value, both the hosting states attached disproportionate attention to these spaces, effectively turning them into sensitive space or amplified territories. Such amplified history, I argue, warranted the exceptional attention from state even after these were exchanged. And second, ownership over land was acknowledged by the state only after enclave residents were recognized as citizens and enclave lands were brought under state jurisdiction. Enclave people had to register this land within the former state system to be able to legally claim ownership. Therefore, citizenship and rights of ownership became an effective technology for the state in making legible state spaces. How then would we use our learning from such sovereign atonement? Well, first of all, it shows that the role of the sovereign in creating exception is not only limited to its power of exclusion by suspending law and producing bare lives. Instead, the exception could well be created within the law by selective use of both formal and informal techniques to include citizens. Second, sovereign atonement serves as a framework for understanding the role of territory in the interaction of the sovereign and the citizens, and unfolding the anxiety of rule in post-colonial states that are in limbo of being a former colony and not yet nation. Last but not the least, thinking with and through sovereign atonement enables us to connect the dots between the local and the national and international, the micro and the macro, the sovereign and the citizens and non-citizens, the camp and the state, therefore the sacred and profane sides of sovereignty and governance. Thank you for your attention, and I welcome any comments, thoughts, and questions.